Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Our Kids Play Hockey. We want to let you know that we have once again been honored with a nomination for the Hockey Podcast of the Year via the Sports Podcasting Awards. And all you need to do to help us is go to ourkidsplayhockey.com and click on the Vote Now button. It asks you a couple questions. You're in and you're out, and you have voted for us for Hockey Podcast of the Year. I want to thank you all for being a wonderful, wonderful audience and helping us get to this stature of hockey podcasting, because we've done it as a family, as the hockey friends and families around the world. Thanks so much and enjoy this episode of Our Kids Play Hockey. Hey everybody, welcome to this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Today we're going to dive deep into fundraising. Now don't tune away just yet. We had a lot of awesome discussions in this episode about how to do this right for your team to make sure that you're making the most money, but also doing it ethically, doing it right in a way that can unify your team to have a better experience for the season. So make sure to listen ahead. Also want to let you know this episode is being powered by Hockey Wraparound, a company that lets you use your ice hockey game sticks outside without being damaged. So if you have kids that are dragging a $200, $300 stick outside, check out this product. It's hockeywraparound.com and use the code OKPH for 20% off your order. With that said, please subscribe and follow us. Look us up on Facebook, follow us wherever podcasts can be heard, and check us out at ourkidsplayhockey.com. With that said, enjoy this episode, and I'll talk to you soon in about 5 seconds. Bye-bye. Hello, hockey friends and families around the world. Welcome to another edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. I'm joined today, as always, by Mike Benelli and Christie Casciano-Burns. And we got actually a really exciting topic today, and what seems to be a little collection of episodes about what to do before the season starts. Today, we're talking about fundraising. Now, don't roll your eyes and leave just yet. This is the episode you need to hear, especially the ones where you roll your eyes and look away. But we're going to talk about fundraising today, why we need fundraising, why you want to fundraise even after you've already paid all your registration fees, how to do it, the best ways to do it, why it's better than it's ever been before, how you can use it as a teaching tool for your kids to teach major life lessons. It's a major, major, major component of any season. And on top of that, today, as the youngest hockey parent here, no pun intended to anybody out there, I don't know a lot about it. Christie's been through it, Mike's been through it, and I need to learn a lot. So I'm going to be, again, an escort today, or a conduit, a car, to bring the new hockey parents to this episode. And my two co-hosts, who I value very much, are going to give all the information they possibly have about this topic, right? So first thing, Christie, I'm going to jump to you. Let's just go over the basics. Why do we need fundraising after we've just, as you put it before the episode, we wrote this huge check to play. We just bought all these equipment. I have no money left. Why do I need to fundraise?
It depends on the team that you're on too. I love one season when the coach opened it up by saying, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we've gone over all the things we want to do this season. And some of you want to add on to that, but guess what? It costs money. So let's talk about, we're going to talk about the F word. And everybody gasp. No, not the F word. Yes. Fundraising, the evil fundraisers that we have to do just to keep the team going for all those extras. Tournaments cost money. If your team wants to play in tournaments, guess what? There are tournament fees. You got to cough up the money for that. It's not free. You just don't show up and say, hey, we want to play. There are fees for that. Those teams make money. So that's another fundraising idea for you. If you ever want to hold a tournament, you can make some money. And then there's the extras. If your team wants to, let's say, have snacks for the locker rooms, that's something that you can put aside in your budget. Maybe you want to buy t-shirts for all the kids, matching t-shirts, or, something that you want to pay extra for to make the team just more fun for the season. All those extras are not covered by your registration fee. So you got to come up with the money. And the best way to do it, a lot of parents don't like to do it. They say, just let me write the check. I don't want to get involved. But fundraising can be really good for your team. Mike, what are some of the other costs that I maybe not have forgotten about that go along with a hockey season?
Yeah, and Mike, feel free to use the F word as much as you want in this episode.
I'm known for that. I think being from the hockey director's side and doing that for 35 years, there's a point where you have to understand too, through the fundraising, as your organization you got to be careful about what teams do what, because it's always going to come down to, well, the squirt team got to do this and the Bantam team didn't get this. But, a lot of the answers are, well, they just did more outside of their registration fees. They did more of that fundraising opportunity to get, maybe a special trip for a tournament. Maybe they did a team building exercise. Maybe they did additional ice time for their organization. All those kind of things go into why I think, people do fundraisers. I mean, I probably am a little bit in this panel, especially. I know I'm the more jaded person when it comes to why are we asking people to raise money for probably the most expensive sport there is. And additionally, we're going out and getting things when I just see so much wasted money from your own registration fees, in organizations. So I think that's a whole nother, conversation we can have today too, is that, what is the fundraiser for? Is it good for your organization? And is it really going to help in all other aspects of what we want to do with our kids and our players?
And I think as a team, you have to decide what is it that you want. I mean, there was one year where we were on a team that wanted to do everything, travel, play in every tournament, buy warm-up suits for the kids that matched, T-shirts and all this extra. It was a really expensive year. We did a lot of fundraising that year, and we actually did it. We paid for everything for our fundraising. And there are other years where the parents were just, let's keep it simple. I don't want to do this. I don't want to travel beyond, 50 miles. I don't want warm-up suits for my kids. So as a team, you have to decide, what is it? What are your goals this year? What kind of extras do you want to pay for? Do you want to just keep it really simple? And that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to have a season that's like, wow, memorable, crazy season, just get prepared to roll up your sleeves and help pay for it.
Right. And I think we have to remember too that we're here speaking as hockey parents, and we're in our little, silo of hockey. But think about all the people out there on your team that are doing fundraisers for all the other things they're involved in. My son's in Scouts. There's a ton of fundraising that goes on for Scouts. He's at Lions Club. There's a ton of fundraising that goes on. The lacrosse team does fundraising. So think about, you've got to, as a parent, when you're interjecting into the fundraising program, you also have to think about, okay, because who gets hit up? Grandma, grandpa, your local inner circle gets hit first, right, with the raffle tickets. And then hopefully, I know we'll talk about it a little bit, but then there's other great ways that you can get your kids to fundraise that are going to help them, outside of just asking grandma, hey, can you buy these 10 raffle tickets for $10? And if you win, and they don't care about winning whatever the raffle is, right, or whatever the fundraiser is, they just want to contribute. But there's so many other aspects to a fundraiser that you can do, depending on how you're going to, what you're going to do, and then how you're going to approach it with your players.
Right. And some of your friends who don't have young kids and aren't into the fundraising will duck and cover when they see you coming. Oh no, here comes Willy Wonka, the chocolate factory. I have no more money to give to you.
This damn kid's playing on another team, for God's sake. So, all he does is fundraise.
It can, especially if your kids are into other things, like you mentioned, Scouts or cheerleading. Everybody has to do a fundraiser. So that's why I think this is a good opportunity to come up with some fundraisers that will involve your kids and be less stressful on friends and family. You don't want to tap out the well too soon. But there are things that you can do where the kids can really get involved and help raise the money, less stressful on you and your friends, and a lot of life lessons for your kids. And we'll get into that in a moment.
Right. So what I'm going to do this episode to make this fun and make it really interactive is, as the new parent, I'm actually taking notes. So I'm just going to read my notes. I have here, Christie, from you. Step one, and Mike, step one is identify what you need the money for. Right. I think that's the big takeaway from this first part of the show is do you even need the money? And if you do, what do you need it for? Well, one of the things I actually appreciated with my son's 8U team, I'm trying to get that right after we had that episode a few episodes ago, is the coach, this is his second year coaching, and he had told me that, and the team manager, look, things are going to come up. Things are going to come up. Dinners are going to come up. No matter what we do, no matter what you pay for, things are going to come up. So we created a slush fund, which is not fundraising, But I had the same sentiments. Oh, we're paying all this stuff, but we still need to give this. It wasn't a problem. It was a fair amount, but they knew and identified before the season, we need money for this. Okay. So that's the first step, is identify what you need the money for. If you're going to go all out, all right, slush fund's not the answer. You're going to need to find something else. All right. So the next thing is, let's say you've identified what you need. Okay. We need to do a fundraiser. The next step, I'm guessing, is let's identify what's the best type of fundraiser to do and why. So I'm going to throw that back to you guys. What are the best types of fundraisers that you know of, that you've been involved with, and give examples for the audience out there of what has been successful. And again, we will get to how it's a life lesson and how to promote it later. But right now, let's focus on types of fundraisers. And Mike, I know you want to jump into ROI as well. I think this is a great time to do that.
Yeah. So what I would say is, like, think about the fundraiser you're doing, and think about the involvement of your kids, and think about the involvement of your parents, and then think about, okay, at the end of the day, the effort that I'm going to put in, is it over the effort? Unless you're trying to teach lessons, right? If I do a car wash for my 14U Bantam team, and at the end of the weekend, I made, let's just say $300 for $300 for the effort to go to ask the kids to come on a Saturday morning, pray it's not going to rain, hope it's a nice sunny day. You're already handing out, Christie talked about it a little bit, about social media and having the ability to reach out to people to let them know what you're doing now is so much easier than, sticking posters up on telephone poles. Right. But I think, we're at the point right now where think about, what is that fundraiser? Me, I'm not a fan of bake sales. I'm not a fan of car washes. I'm not a fan of things that really only get you out of, you get this tiny little bit of money for this huge amount of effort. And it's probably the same people doing all the work all the time. It's the same 2 moms and 2 dads. And so I think finding fundraisers that you can do that, that take a lot of effort, but take a whole team effort, like golf tournaments. Golf tournaments are always really cool fundraisers because there's always somebody on the team that's part of a club or knows somebody that, or a bowling tournament, or, there's all these kind of great things that are more active, you can get more people participating, but you can also earn and recover a lot more money for all that effort and time you're going to put into organizing it.
Well, I would like to say.
I know you like bake sales. I know you like
to take away the chocolate brownie.
I know.
My
God, for 3 cents a brownie, please.
You can always sell stuff. All right, that's always an option. Whether it's Christmas wreaths for the holidays, which are really popular. You could sell popcorn. You could sell candy. You can sell stuff. That's always an option for you. But then you're competing. You might be competing, with your with your kids because they're on so many different organizations and stuff. So, but when you get your kids involved in a fundraiser, there are so many life lessons they can learn. I'm going to throw an example out there for you. We did a very successful bottle and can drive. This was so much fun for the kids. We advertised it ahead of time. We gave a blast out to the neighborhood that we were going to hit. We asked them, save up your bottles and cans for Saturday. We're going to hit your neighborhood and put them outside of your, front steps. We'll make it easy for us so we can just grab and go. So many people did that. We showed up in the neighborhood. The kids were in their jerseys and we split up in teams. The adults always make sure you're with the kids, make sure, they do all the proper things. They got to have good manners. Don't run on the lawns. Give them all the rules before you set out. You show up in the neighborhood. We could not believe the overwhelming support we had. We had so many bottles and cans left out in nice, neat bags for the kids to just grab, throw in the back of the cars. We worked with a redemption center where they set up a big receptacle in a parking lot, which made it easier for us because they love the business too. So they're going to work with you. Everybody shows up at the parking lot, drops off the cans, hit the neighborhoods again. We raised over $700 and the kids had so much fun. And, this one sweet grandma loved hockey, came out, couldn't wait to see the hockey kids. It just made her day. And she, asked them about the team and what positions they played and how she had a son who played hockey. And it was just such a great connection to the neighborhood too. Now people also get to know that, hey, that's a great little team out there. Look how polite they are. Look how organized they are. Look how they didn't even walk on our grass. So you're giving a positive impression of your team as well while you're raising money. What are the kids learning? How to work together, they're not entitled. They actually have to earn their spot on the hockey team. Things don't come free or cheap. You got to work hard in order to play on a team or get what you want. So many great lessons. And the parents, we had so much fun too. We got all dirty and smelly collecting those cans. But at the end of the day, we had, a nice little get together where one of the parents had, wine and pizza, and we got to know each other too outside of the rink.
So this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, that is brilliant. Like, that to me is a fundraiser. Like, that to me is a team building life lesson. Clean up the environment, help people out by emptying their garages. I mean, so can I give my top three? Because this is now I got to write.
Well, I got one more thing.
Go ahead.
As we check all the boxes.
Mike's all fired up, Christy. Way to go.
I got to send an email out today. So go ahead.
All right. Here's the other little tip with your redemption center.
Yes. You
tell them that you would because a lot of times when people show up to get rid of their bottles and cans, they don't want to wait for it. They'll just say, hey, can you just throw it to a charity? Here are my bottles and cans. They're so busy. They don't even want to wait for their $5 or $6. Ask the Redemption Center if you could put a sign up and ask people who show up, it could donate rather than take the money, donate to our hockey team, put a little picture of the hockey team, all the kids' cute little faces up there. So when they walk in the center, they can say, hey, oh, you know what? I want to donate to, Lysander skating team, or ice hockey team there. Just throw all my money to that team. By the end of the season, or actually in the middle of the season, you got a nice little chunk of change there too. Just another little tip that we found successful.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I think even putting that, like, it even allowing the put a little sign like, if all your donations go towards this, if you just throw your money, you're throwing your cans and everything there.
Right.
It's just another motivator to go to that particular place and send people in. I love it.
Mike, before you jump in,
name recognition for your team too. And here's the thing too. You are helping the environment too. And people love to get rid of their bottles and cans. It's kind of a pain to do. You have to take a time out of your busy schedule to go, and if you go to a grocery store, you have to put them in, and it's a pain. It takes up your time. They loved us taking their bottles and cans off their hands. It freed them up, so it was a win-win for everybody.
It's a great ROI on that too. Mike, I just feel like the way you're going, for some reason, and some of you might not know this reference, I just keep thinking you with Glenn Ross with this sales technique for fundraising. Put that water bottle down. You can see water bottles are for closers, right? No, I could see you do it. Mike, why don't you jump in? Because I know you're fired up here. You got a lot of ideas suddenly.
Yeah, well, it's just that you start thinking about all the fundraisers you've done and the ones that have failed, and the one like I've sat through outside of snack bar brownie sales, and after you've eaten like the 10th brownie because nobody's buying them, you start rethinking about the fundraiser you're doing, right? So and then you're buying them yourself. But I love the top. I think my top three that we've done in the past 10 years have been, number one was the team did a Christmas tree pickup. So they blasted everyone out between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Right. And then they came around after Christmas and picked up all these trees, and then they brought them to the recycle. They recycle them or cut them up. They had one dad that had a pickup truck with a trailer, and the kids would just come and they pick up the tree. They take it out of the house, even in some cases, walk it to the car, put it in, shipped it. I think it was like they asked for like $10 a tree. And more times than not, they got $40, $50, $60 a tree. It's because people just appreciated what they were doing. So the next one we have done, I think that part of, that understanding that the team is doing the work, that the players are the ones that are participating. Obviously, you have to have parent supervision. And, so one of the great ones that I like too was that we did fall yard cleanups. So we would have the kids come, break up into teams, I try to find the best captain of each team. Didn't have to be a real captain. It could, whoever was our team captain, it could be just anybody that I felt was responsible to know where, I'd ask the kids, like, everybody know what flowers look like, and everybody know the difference between weeds and flower beds. So we're going to go to these people's homes. It's always, it doesn't really matter the age of the person, but you could go to any, even retirement communities, anywhere where you can rake out the leaves. Everybody brings, you always have the kids bring gloves, their own rake. And then I would always have, like, there's always one or two parents that have a couple of leaf blowers and, tarps and things like that. We'd break the kids up in the, sometimes we do, whoever can fill the pickup truck first, that kind of stuff. So we would go, and if you're really lucky, and depending on what kind of community you live in, you could have kids doing different yards at the same exact time and just, combining into one place. So I think it was a really good, we'd always ask for like $100, but again, similar to the Christmas tree pickup, everyone is always going to give more if they know it's a fundraiser. They see their young men and women are out there working hard. They're putting in a good sweat and they're working together. And for me as a coach, you always found the kid, just like the kid that doesn't pick up pucks at the end of practice. You always find the kid that finds his way not to rake any leaves or pick up anything. And that's really telling. I mean, I know it's not part of our fundraising discussion, but it is part of our team building discussion. So I thought it was a big part of it. And then by far the most fun one that we've done, and I think the most rewarding, is because there's an ending, is that we have all the kids from September until December. They're collecting hockey sticks, their own sticks, friends sticks, rink sticks, collecting broken hockey sticks, goalie sticks, whatever it is, asking their teammates, asking other programs. And then at the end of December, we would take all of these sticks. We found an individual who made those great hockey chairs and Adirondack chairs out of hockey sticks.
Right.
He would make the chairs for us, and then we would raffle the chairs off at the towards the end of the year, and that would help fund all the coaching gifts. And I thought, and we literally raffled chairs off for $500, $600, $700 a chair, made by the sticks that the kids already invested in. It's like the old saying, and I think Christie, we may have talked about this at one point, but when you go to a hockey tournament and you get charged to go see your own kids play in the hockey tournament, it's the same type of thing. Like, well, I already paid for the hockey tournament. How are you charging me?
Right.
So it's the same thing with the sticks. It's great. Like, I bought the stick, it broke. There was no, warranty on it. I'm donating it for something that now will give me return on the stick. And most of the time, it was our own parents that bought the stick anyway, bought the chair or the bench or the clothes hanger. And I thought those are really cool fundraisers, because I thought there was, I don't want to say there's minimal effort, but there was more team effort. Everyone, you can't you can't hide in a Christmas tree pickup and yard pickup and bringing in sticks. You can't. It really, for me, it enabled it not to always be the same people doing the same fundraiser every single month. It really broadened out who we were doing, and it was fun. I think everybody really got involved in it and enjoyed it. So I think we checked all those boxes that Christie was talking about. We earned money. It was good ROI. We gave back. We did something for our community, and we built a lot of team pieces in there that hopefully, the kids will remember, outside of, not being, being short shifted or something like that in the third period.
I want the name of that guy who makes chairs out of hockey sticks. Wow.
And there's a couple of good ones there's a couple of really good ones by us, and they're unbelievable. And we have one right here down near me, and he comes up with benches and hockey hangers, and they do the barbecue grill, hamburger flippers and spatulas and things like that, all made out of hockey sticks. I think it's the coolest thing. But if you could do it with your own sticks, it even makes it more rewarding, I think.
Yeah, I got a bunch of them for him. I'm gonna have to call them up. Get them to
Yeah,
work.
we're collecting. I'll put my address up on the screen a little bit. Send them on down.
Here's another fundraiser, as we're talking about how to get the kids involved. Look to work with your AHL team. We work with the Syracuse Crunch, and they're great with youth hockey teams. We do a chuck-a-puck night, so all the kids get to go to a Crunch game, and then during the periods before the game and during the periods, we sell pucks that get to be chucked out into the ice, and the puck that lands closest to the bullseye on the ice wins half the money. We raised probably $700 or $800 that our last chuck-a-puck night a few years ago, And it was great because the kids enjoy seeing, obviously, their heroes play. They're all together selling. So again, they're learning the communication skills and the importance of raising money for something that you want. And the parents have a ball too, because we get to spend a night with our kids, just taking in a crunch game. It's fantastic. And the crunch is very generous with splitting up the nights. Like our Lysander team got one night, and Camilla's got another night. So all the teams get a night where they can sell pucks that will be chucked during the game, and it's so much fun too. And it kind of makes it fun for everybody in the audience too. They love the chance to throw a puck out onto the ice and have a chance to win some money. So look for some opportunities with your local professional teams.
So I had step one is identify what you need the money for. I have step two is choose what type of fundraiser you're going to do and think about the ROI. So Christie, that last one has great ROI if you're near an AHL team or a minor league team, because it's legit just a couple hours of your time to make a lot of money. And then, Mike, the ones you explained take time, but they teach a lot of life lessons and you can earn a lot of money. Again, I think about it just from what you're saying too. You got to think about if you're trying to create a fundraiser, you got to think about the things people need, want, and are happy to give money for. I find when it comes to fundraising, most people are happy to give the money if it's the right situation. Kid comes to your door and says, "Hey, it's January 10th. Do you still have your Christmas tree? Do you want me to take it off your hands for you?" Man, you're helping me. I'm happy to pay you, and I'm helping you. Right? That's one that's like, wow, that's a no-brainer. All right. Same thing with Chuck a Puck. They're at the game already. Why would they not want to support a youth hockey team? But that's step two is choose what type of fundraiser to do. And it leads to step three, which we've already alluded to, which is make sure that to unify the team around the life lessons. Now, this is where I'm going to chime in a tiny bit. I'll preface this with this. When it comes to fundraisers, you really need a dedicated person or a group of people, a committee, to run these things successfully. I would say the eye roller is when you have to do more work. Right? When the team comes, "Hey, we're all going to do this, and I need you to do this, and you to do that, and you to do this." That's where you get the eye rolls. We're all busy, right? So that's why you need a fundraising committee or a fundraising person to lead it. The work that the parent should have to do, in my opinion, is, okay, I have to bring my kid somewhere, or I have to drop my kid off, or I have to be with my kid while they do this. To me, that's just parenting. That's part of the team building. That's part of being, part of the experience. I think too, and I'll say this, that and again, I'll get your thoughts on this, friends, is that there's a lot of great, not just life lessons, but business lessons and lessons in general when you have to, quote unquote, sell. Now, we're living in this weird time period where that's a 4-letter word, literally and figuratively, where people look at that like it's a bad thing, like, "Oh, I'm not going to be a used car salesman." And I think we have the wrong idea with that. All right. The truth is, when you learn to sell, you learn to sell yourself. You learn to sell what you're doing. Everybody is selling something out there. Everybody. If you're listening to this, if you have a job, you are selling something. Everyone's selling something. So teaching your kids how to do that ethically, I'm going to put that in there, trustworthy, right? To speak up, to explain value when it comes to fundraising is insanely important, in my opinion. Right. So you want to arm the kids with that. Okay, so we're doing, Mike, your example, we're doing Christmas trees. We're picking up Christmas trees today, or we're doing weeds, right? Here's the job. Here's why we're doing it. Here's what we get out of it. Here's the value for the person, right? Those are really important things to teach kids. Again, ethically, never lie. This isn't about lying to make money. It's about telling the truth, right? So I want to throw that back to you guys in terms of just, am I crazy in thinking that? Again, I'm a businessman, for this full disclosure, right? But any opportunity I have to teach my kids, how to negotiate, how to provide value in an ethical way. I can't say that enough. Like, we don't do this wrong, right? I think that's a very, very, very important skill set that schools are not teaching. This is your chance to do it. Who wants to go first?
Right. And I think that's, I know for me, like, that's why the scouts were so important for our family, because that's like a mandated piece of what, as they go through rank, you have to learn how to, look somebody in the eye,
right,
ask them for something, have a conversation, introduce yourself, introduce your mission, who you're with, what you're doing. And that's intimidating for a 12, 13, 14-year-old boy or girl, right? Knocking on the door. "Hi, my name's Michael. I'd love to be able to help you. I see today that you have, I know, we're in the middle of fall and we're here with a whole team and we're ready to, rake the leaves. And this is why we're doing it." And, I love seeing the kids that step up and do that. And you'll start seeing, and especially today, we'll all, parents now will say, oh, my kid doesn't look anybody in the eye. He doesn't shake their hand. They don't make eye contact. They're on their video games all the time. Well, this is it.
Right.
And I think you'll see what I love too out of this is the person on the other side, they'll engage. Like more times than not, you're never going to get the door slammed on you. I mean, how many Girl Scouts get the door slammed on them? Not many, right? I mean, it's like, it's a different way of looking at it. But I think to your point, Lee, you're teaching, not only are you doing an ethical piece of learning how to sell, but you're also learning how to communicate.
Totally.
You're learning how to delegate. You're learning how to, convince and have a conversation with somebody like an adult that maybe you don't get a lot of interaction with. I mean, you think about your, 12 to 15-year-old kids. How many times do they really get to interact with adults outside of you? And, it really does. I think it adds so much more than just, I'm raising $100 here today.
Well, I'll take it to another level.
That's a great point. And I hope parents who are so used to I just want to write the check. I don't want to get involved. I don't want my kids involved. Take a moment and think about what you're missing here. How often do we see our kids on their phones constantly, not knowing how to talk to, as you said, Mike, talk to adults, how to communicate. Look at all the skills and the opportunities that present themselves with a simple fundraiser that's really not as bad as you might think it would be. And actually, you might surprise yourself at the end of the day and step back and say, wow, my kid actually talked to people today, people he didn't know. Yeah. My kid actually, look what he sold, or look what he did, or look what he accomplished. Look what we did as a family. So think about that before you say no to fundraisers, and just wanting to take the easy way out and just write the check.
Well,
and I think that goes. Sorry, Lee. No, I think that goes into the point of what fundraiser you're choosing. If you're going to choose a fundraiser where you're selling raffle tickets that there's zero interaction, it's easy to write a check. Who knows? Like, who really knows if your kid went and stole 20 raffle tickets? You just bought them all, right? And then you're sitting in, you look in the living room, in the desk, and you're like, where did we get all these raffle tickets from? Get a whole pile of them, and you just paid for them. So if you want, you could purposely put the kids in situations where they can't just write a check. You actually physically have to go do something to earn it. Like we one year we did, the kids clean the boards at the local rink with Brillo pads, like sat on 5-gallon buckets and scrubbed all the puck marks off the boards. And the manager of the rink paid them the same amount of money they would to have a service come in and do that. And the kids were in their own rink saying, this is sweet. Look how clean the boards are here. And then I got to teach lessons like, see all the black marks behind the net? We don't want all those black marks behind the net. We'd like them in the net, right? So there's all kinds of, fun ways you can turn good fundraising opportunities into team building exercises, for sure.
Right. And also consider working with some restaurants. We had a fantastic fundraiser at Applebee's and a couple of other restaurants where you get a discount, and a percentage of whatever is sold that night at the restaurant is going to go to your team. And what the restaurants really could probably use right now, business coming out of COVID. So they're probably going to welcome some hockey teams, helping them to boost their business for a night. And they may be short supply for staff too. I mean, our kids bussed tables. They were greeting people at the door. They were handing out menus. So I think restaurants, especially now, might really welcome an opportunity to have a hockey team and all their family and friends in there for a night while you make some money. Just something to think about.
Yeah. Look, I'll take all of these examples even a step further, guys, in the sense of, when I work with teams, one of the big things I talk about for team building is team identity. And there's different levels to identity. There's identity with the team itself, but there's also the community, right? And the only way to get community identity is to go out into the community and interact with your community. And I don't think we do this enough with youth hockey teams. Now, look, I'm also going to say this too. Again, people are busy. Like for the parents listening out there, I understand people are busy, and there's going to be some years that it's just, I just don't have the time this year. But, this is your chance to get out to your local community. Mike, I love the idea of scrubbing the boards because that's their home, right? Now you get an identity in your own rink. Like, I scrub these boards. When the away team comes in, I don't want them to win. They didn't work to clean these boards. I did. My team did, right? They paid us. This is our home. So I love the synergy there of the fundraising mixed with that team building identity, or community building, right? It's always stronger as a coach and as a team to play for something when you have a grip on exactly what it is that you're playing for, right? And if you know the community, if you know the rink, that's a value. So again, step two, I'll go through it again. Step one, identify what you need the money for. Step two, choose what type of fundraiser you're going to do. Step three, make sure to unify the team around life lessons. Again, Christie, your example, the restaurants, another great one. I think that restaurants would love this right now out of COVID, to have people come in and try it again. And I'm sure you could do something even with people ordering for pickup, right? There's lots of ways to do this. Before I get to step four, one warning to the parents out there, and Mike and Christie, if you want to jump in on this, feel free. Again, there's going to be years where there's too much going on. You have multiple kids. Maybe you can't get as involved as you want to, but don't teach your kids that there's a shortcut out of things all the time, that writing a check can just be the answer. All right. There's a lot of families that can't do that. And I think we have to be empathetic to that. Two, or B, is that, look, if you're in a position, you can just write off a check and get it out of the way. Look, that's great. I mean, congratulations. I'm not saying that in any negative way. All right. But what are you teaching your kids? That there's a shortcut with money to get out of everything? No matter what you're thinking, that's not always the case, right? It's not a bad thing for have your kids to go through a hard day of work to teach them the value of work. All right. And that if you want something, you have to earn it. That's the other great opportunities from these. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. And to, when you said it earlier, when it comes down to time, I can guarantee you this. If I told you there was 2 games on a Saturday, one at 11 and one at 4, you would find the time to do it. All of a sudden your son or daughter would have, oh, no, there's no conflicts. I can make it. I can get there. But all of a sudden you add in, oh, we're doing a fall cleanup. Oh, that day. I forgot about that day. Oh, they're busy, or they got this, or I all their doctor's appointments are on that Saturday. So don't to what you're saying is, and I'm probably, because I've been doing this so long, I'm like, oh, I'll just schedule 2 games that day. That's my benchmark. I'm going to hold that Saturday, and then we'll just cancel the games and tell them, oh, we're doing this. And I already know you're all coming to the game. So you're all know, I know you can come to this event. So I think it's just a matter of, don't tell me you don't have the time when you actually do, and you just don't want to do it. And I think we've even talked about this about our team building stuff. It's always the people and the kids that need it the most that are fighting it the most. Right. And, I don't know. I like fundraisers that build team cohesion. I love fundraisers that get great ROI. I like fundraisers that help the community and help, your own team. And I think that's, again, I think it's easier than writing a check. And I love, and I think there's a common mission, that we talked about earlier. What is the fundraiser for? If it's because, you're the team that you spend $8,000 to play for a year wants to go to, Costa Rica for a weekend for a special hockey tournament, I'm probably not giving money to that fundraiser. But if your team from Syracuse, New York, just won their regional championship, and now they want to find a way to go to, Anaheim because of the Nationals, I get behind that 100%.
And we've seen that happen, and we've seen teams in a pinch at the end of the year because they weren't expecting to go to Nationals, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, they made it. Now they got to come up with money to get there. And they do reach out to the hockey community, and we're pretty generous. And I think every team that did make it to National got there. They were able to, through fundraising, the community really, that's a big deal. So don't be shy, and, contact your local news. We did a story on this one team that made it to Nationals, didn't have the money, and they did a social media page. I forget what do you call those things? The pages where you
GoFundMe or something.
Right.
Oh, that's it. They did a GoFundMe page, and they were able to raise enough money, and they used their digital platforms to get the word out there too. Little messages from, the girls, and they put it on their Twitter page, on their Facebook page. Yeah. they, contacted local news organizations. Can you help our team get there? And everybody stepped up and helped them get there. So don't be shy. If your team did something spectacular and you need help getting there, chances are the community is going to help you.
Yeah.
But I like your idea too about looking at your budget, and don't be afraid to ask where the money is going and how you're going to spend it. And as a team, decide if that's really something that everybody can, number one, afford, and number two, wants to do. So you have a big role in determining what your season looks like and where you want to go and what you want to do. Don't be shy.
It's a great transition to step 4, which is going to be scope or scale, I should say. But I'll tell you guys a quick story about a friend of mine. And this isn't directly fundraising, but it proves the point of everything we're saying. My business partner, Matt, has 4 boys. He has 4 sons, I think, ranging from 11 down to 5 years old. And what he did was he had them create, I mean, this legitimately create a business. All right. It's called the O Bros. They all have every one of his sons has a first name that starts with the letter O. So he's called them the O Bros, and they made a lawn caring service. And these kids from 11 down, again, they're not teenagers, right? They are like the neighborhood's lawn care company. And these kids rake in an incredible amount of money, and they advertise themselves. Again, Matt helps them advertise online. He helps them by driving them to the lawns they got to do. Absolutely some parenting there, because sometimes his kids don't want to do it, but he teaches them, you got to do the job. You're getting paid to do the job. These kids rake in so much money that they I'm not kidding here. They fund vacation trips for themselves at 11 down. So what I think his 9-year-old just went to Austin, Texas with his mom because he felt like it. He earned that money on his own. So this kind of proves the point that, again, look, I'm sure the 5-year-old's a little young, right? He just probably helps out by picking up stuff off the ground. But these kids are funding vacations for themselves. So there's really no age that this is too young, or team that this is too young. You can do it. And guys, I'm talking, they make serious money. They spend it all, but they make serious money, 11 down, and the parents don't take any of it. They that's the other key point. It's their money. They're earning it. So great life lessons there. So again, just to run through this one more time. Step 1, identify what you need the money for. Step 2, choose what time or what type of fundraiser you're doing. Step 3, make sure to unify the team around the life lessons and the cause of the marketing. Add the fundraising. And step 4, scale, scope. So the question to you two, you said it earlier in the episode, you got your 5 relatives that always donate. How do you get beyond them? How do you get to the local companies? How do you get to the neighborhood? What do you do to get this message out there?
Okay. So for me, I think you said it earlier, you designate somebody to be your lead, right? You need a parent, you need and a kid. So you have a team parent and a team player. Could be the same. It could be the parent's kid. Right. Whatever it is, you need a lead. You need a player lead. You need a parent lead, and you have a plan. And then you delegate. Don't make sure that you assign. When you assign, most people want to help. They want to contribute. So if you know what you want to do, you have your person you see on Facebook every single day. Designate them to help you promote what you're doing. They're going to send out the list. They're going to send out the dates. They're going to send out what the fundraiser's for. Then you just work on somebody to collect, depending on how you're going to collect your money. You have a treasurer, and then you have somebody that's going to report that, so that, everybody knows up front what's going on. It's all transparent. And I think just having that plan, and then just like you would for your team, right? Just build a mission statement into your fundraiser. Why are you doing? What's your why for the fundraiser? Keep people focused. If it's 1 day or 4 months, what's the fundraiser? What's it for? And how are we going to stay on track? If you do those things as part of your team, I think you're going to any fundraiser, you're going to have success.
Great points.
Right. Transparency is really important. Not that you shouldn't trust people, but you got to make sure that they're very open about what's been earned and where it's going. You do need to look closely at that, because we have had instances in the past where some of the money didn't go exactly where it was intended, and a certain person may have profited from it, unfortunately, and got caught, but not until after the season was over. So I know I hate to bring that up, and it sounds so awful and ugly, but it's a part of reality.
Right.
You do need to hold that person accountable if you do designate someone as the main fundraiser, the keeper of the funds, the treasurer. make sure everybody knows where the money is and how much is coming in and how much is going out.
100%.
Sorry, I had to bring that up.
Oh, no, listen.
I know,
that's
but
part of
it's having, but I think transparency comes with the mission. Like the more the mission is established and the more you know what we're doing this for, the more scrutiny there is over it and everybody's contributing to it. And I think even if you did privately and you had your little, thermometer with the money being raised, like we're getting our goal, we're almost there,
Right.
We're, the motivating piece of that, of let's keep this going. We're so close. And then who's going to get us over the top? And depending on how your fundraiser is structured and how you delegated all of those responsibilities out, hopefully you're going to have a great group of kids that felt like they all contributed to the team going to a tournament, raising money for new hats, new sweatsuits, a team party, whatever it is, you all contributed to it. It
Right.
wasn't just, one person doing all the work and then say at the end of the year, I don't know why I did all this work. My kid didn't even get as much ice time as the other kids,
Right. I love the idea of a
Yeah.
digital thermometer, something visual where you can see where you're at, where you're going. It gets everybody motivated and pumped up to keep pushing that thermometer up. The mercury keeps rising.
Right.
I love that idea. That's great. And don't be afraid to use your digital platforms. If you have a Facebook page, blast it out there. Get other your friends and family to share on their social media pages too. Hey, we're doing a bottle and can drive. We're going to be at this neighborhood.
Yeah.
Donate your cans to this redemption center. Show up at this date and time. Help our team get there. And don't be afraid to let your kids also give little messages too, because a tug at the heartstrings when you see a little kid in a hockey jersey say, "Could you please donate to my fundraiser this weekend?
Yeah.
Could you please donate some cans and bottles to my team?" They fall for it. How do they say no to that cute little face?
I just want to say one thing too. Your fundraiser doesn't have to be for you. Your fundraiser could be for something else.
Charity.
It could be for something you want, a charity that you want the kids. If you're using it as a team building exercise and a way to, bring empathy and inclusion with children, it doesn't have to go to you. Matter of fact, maybe it's even better in some cases. We contributed this money towards this cause. We did it. We've done it for pancreatic cancer. We've done it for other forms of
military
children,
veterans. There's so many different
family.
things. Yeah.
There's so many things you can do that your collective group. I mean, the great thing about a team is your collective group of like-minded people that can accomplish these goals. If that's who your team is, and Lee does this every day with his teams, that it doesn't have to go towards me.
Right.
I could be giving it towards a mission that we have for our team to build around. And
we
I
would
love
always get kids involved in charitable events, especially during the holidays, put on their jerseys and ring the bell for the Salvation Army,
whatever it is.
collect blankets for the homeless, go to the SPCA and donate food and blankets for the animals that are in the shelter. Lots of opportunities to do that. It doesn't even have to be a monetary gift that you give. It can just be, just showing up and donating your time too, for cooking, making sandwiches for the homeless. There's lots of things you can do.
I want to sneak in one thing.
Yeah, go for it. No, you go first.
No, but I just want to sneak in. I just want to sneak in one thing, because we talked about this at the beginning, this ROI idea, but one piece of fundraising is not having to raise funds. So think about with your teams, what can you do as a team? Like we do my team currently, we do a tape buying deal. So all the team contributes to buying tape. So all our tape is now half of what tape would normally cost. You think about your player could go through 20, 30, 40 rolls of tape a year by an individual. Right. And if you can reduce that by 50%, you're fundraising for yourself. So you want to do like team buy deals and contribute, when you have 20 players all contributing to something, everything gets less expensive. And what got me thinking about too, Christie, was you mentioned even the snacks. Like if all my parents are out buying snacks for their own kids, imagine if we all did this together and we all funded it. So one parent went to Costco or BJ's or whatever. And then, if you don't want to spend money, find ways to save money, do it as a team.
Right.
That's a great idea. And work with your local businesses too. It might be willing to give you some discount in bulk. Right. When you buy in bulk.
Right.
I think that not only that, but that's a great way to teach the kids about saving money. Again, another life lesson that we don't teach in school of like, hey, when there's an economy of scale. When you buy a lot of something, you can get a discount. It's better for you. So when you're eating top ramen every day in college, you can learn a little bit about budgeting.
What's wrong with that? Was that not normal?
I still do that. Look, every once in a while, I'll get on a top ramen kick for a week. It's kind of weird. Look, a few thoughts on what we said, Mike, and I do appreciate you shouting out my teams with fundraising and charity. We give a lot back. And there's multiple reasons we do this. And I think this jumps into the conversation. One is that we're doing all right and there's other people that aren't. And we always took the approach of, if we're not helping other people, what are we doing here? Right. So I'm not going to name any of my companies. My point is we always find ways to give back to local military. If it's a hockey company, we try and give back to local youth organizations. We create deals for them. We're always trying to give back. And I'll tell you this right now, and everyone's heard this, but it's so true. You feel so great when you're able to hand a check or hand something to somebody that didn't have it before, that didn't even ask for it. All right. And it's just a major part of our team environment of what we like to do. It's part of our year. It's part of our day. We do a major charity drive every year with both of my companies, so forth and so on. Another great one, and this is not so much fundraising, but Christie, you brought it up and Mike, you brought it up. When I was in college, both as a player and as a coach, we would go to inner city schools and read to the kids. And I'll tell you right now, you can do this in high school, do it to your elementary school. These kids thought we were heroes. They thought we were NHL players. They didn't know. They didn't know any different. We were college hockey players coming to read to them. Man, that gave me some perspective when I was 18 to 22 of what I'm doing and why I'm here. Talk about a message, talk about earning something. The last message I'll say on fundraising and doing stuff in general, and I'm going to say two things here. Let's be honest. The world could use a little bit of kindness right now, a little bit of empathy. If you're sitting at home listening to me saying that and rolling your eyes, I'm not going to jump on you, but I am going to say, take a minute and ask yourself, why is that horrible to you? Is it a political reason? Is it a groaner for other reasons? Are you just miserable? I'm not talking about any of those reasons. I'm just simply saying that doing something nice for somebody else is something we used to stand for. And I think we all need to get back to a little bit on all sides of the aisle. Doesn't matter where you sit. Fundraising is a great way to teach your kids to do that. The last thing I'll say about that is that it's not the adults that are going to lead the country forward with the next generation. It's our kids. So what are we teaching them? Like I can find a miserable 50-year-old person that's going to tell me everything that's wrong with the country and the world. It's tough to change that person. Hi, Mike. He just waved it. For those of you listening, he just waved at it. All right. But look, the 12-year-old kid who hasn't seen that side of the world yet, he will, or she will. What can we teach them now about being a better person? And by the way, teaching sales, teaching communication, teaching the techniques, teaching things aren't always fair. Teach them that now. Teach them those lessons now. They don't have to be 25, 35, 45 to figure that out. Right? Christie, you brought it up, and I'm going to say this again. It's a little negative. People do steal money in these things. I don't know how. If you're the type of person that's going to steal from kids, that says a lot about you. It does happen, but that's a life lesson too. I'm not suggesting anybody do that to teach a life lesson, but these are the things you got to learn. Life's not always fair. We don't teach that enough. All right. Last thing, Christie, going back to social media, and I got to say this because, and I'm going to tap myself a little bit on the back here, but I literally wrote a book about this. All right. The biggest opportunity you have to get your message out there is digital media, whether you like it or not. For the first time ever, we are more interconnected than ever before. Everyone has a portable television studio in their pocket. And as Christie said, all you got to do is record the whole team or a bunch of the kids. And Christie did a great impression saying, "Hi, my name is Lee and I play for the 8U team and we're raising money so we can go to nationals." You're going to be able to get that message out there. If you get a
That was good.
Yeah, I'm just channeling my inner 8-year-old there. If by the way, my 7-year-old doesn't sound anything like that, but you can get that message out there to these people using social media. And again, someone on your team, most likely the kids, but someone on your team is a marketing expert. It's always there. And get this, they'd probably love to help you. All right. Most market experts love to show that they love a lot about market. Okay. So right. I'm telling you that social media, if you have a fundraiser, no matter what kind of fundraiser it is, it's a great way to get the message out there, get the kids involved, show faces. All right. The last thing and actually Christie we actually literally have someone on the show that can do this, but all of you have your local news people or you watch Jeopardy. Why do you love Alex Trebek? God rest his soul. Because he was in your home every night after dinner. You know Alex Trebek, don't you? But you've never met him. Christie is an anchor. Everyone in Syracuse knows Christie Casciano-Burns, but most of you haven't met her, although Christie's met a lot of people. I'm not going to say it. All right. FaceTime, connection, community, fundraising. Wow, I didn't mean to make that sound so great, but I did. Just to go over these again before we get to our final thoughts. Step 1, identify what you need the money for. Step 2, choose what type of fundraiser to do. Step 3, make sure that you unify the team about the life lessons, the community, the identity, all this stuff that you can use this for beyond just the money. And then step 4 is scale, scope. Find ways to get this out there. Use the resources at your disposal. Find the parent that wants to do it. Step 5, don't steal the money. Just had to throw that in there.
Please don't steal the money.
Yeah, it's not why we're doing it. Right. As any final thoughts on fundraising? I think this has actually been a pretty informative episode. Obviously, if you're listening,
right?
Yeah, tell us what you do too. Like, comment, find us.
We just threw out a few examples. There are so many out there. You could do a hockey-a-thon too at your rink, where your kids have to go out and get sponsors, and then they're challenged to do laps around the rink, and just like a regular, marathon that you might see from the fundraisers. So much you can do. You could, if you want to, if you don't have the time, go tap a local business, have them donate a big gift like a big screen TV or a remote starter, and you can sell raffle tickets, and your kids can help you with this. Sell raffle tickets to other families, and whoever, at the mid-season, you just sell the raffle ticket for what, maybe $50. If you limit it to a certain number, and then you can tell the people, only 100 people are entering this. For $50, you can win this big prize. That's another option for you. So, I mean, that's not as fun, and you don't get the kids as involved. But, if you're desperate for money, there are other ways that you can do it and be creative. There's so many things that we haven't even talked about that are out there for opportunities for you. Think out of the box, collaborate, brainstorm. You'd be surprised. Some of the fundraisers that parents have already done that are successful, tap them and ask them, hey, what worked for you? It can be really fun. And don't let just one parent carry the load, though. Even though you have a committee and you've tapped one person to organize it, step up, because as I always say, it takes a team to run a team.
Yeah. Mike, any final thoughts from you?
No, I'm stoked about getting my email sent out now. I know this is I think this is kind of goes in our suite of preparing for the season and thinking about things that I probably don't want to think about this in January, and everybody's kids are going one way, parents are going the other. This is something you pre-plan on, put it on the calendar, get it in people's heads that you're going to do it, and designate it out. Don't procrastinate. And put it together. And I think I for one, and that's one of the reasons I love doing this podcast, because I think, all those things we talk about, it kind of refocuses me and just reminds me of, oh, geez, I got to get that done. And that's something I really like doing. And I think in this last year and a half, there's so many great things we all want to do that we forgot about. And I think this gives us a great opportunity to kind of jump back into it with 2 feet and do a lot of these great creative things and incorporate the in my case, boys, in learning all these great lessons in life that don't require skates and gloves.
Well, Mike, you said it perfectly right there. One of the reasons I love doing this podcast too is I'm learning from it. So just today's podcast, I learned, you got motivated. Christie got to relive her years of being a hockey mom, doing fundraising, all the nightmares and the happiness from that. But that's how this is a great show, because we're all taking something away from it, even if there wasn't an audience. But we do have an audience, and you guys are awesome. You've been really boosting us up lately, and we appreciate it. So with that said, look, if you have fundraising tips, fundraising ideas you want to share with our audience, make sure you can email them to us at team@ourkidsplayhockey.com. Join us on Facebook, or just comment, find us. We're everywhere, and let us know what fundraisers work for you, because we want to share that information with our audience. We can all learn from each other. That's one of the main reasons we made this podcast. But I've given up every time we jump on an episode. Like, it'll be 20 minutes. No, it's always an hour, because we love talking. And if you've made it through the whole episode, thank you for being here, and make sure you subscribe to us, both wherever you're listening to this, or follow us again on social media. But that's going to do it for this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. For Christie Casciano-Burns and Mike Benelli, I'm Lee Elias. Check us out. More episodes, ourkidsplayhockey.com, and we are wherever podcasts can be heard. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy your season.